ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní ẹ jẹ́ ká máa lépa tẹ̀síwájú ọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ òkèèrè lọ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ̀. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ gbogbo adúláwọ̀.
Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Today is day 2 of our campaign, which we started yesterday. It's going to be here for 60 days. And then, so you don't forget, the title is Keep Igbo Off Yoruba Land. And that is what we're going to be talking about for the next 60 days. This afternoon, I will be discussing the enemy propaganda. The enemy propaganda, that's what we are going to be discussing. And then, you know, the Igbo nation, the only thing they do from one generation to another is to be deceitful. That's their human nature. Don't forget, we civilized the Igbo. The Yoruba nation civilized the Igbo. We gave them, when Bishop Ajayi Crowther met with them around late 18th centuries, and then they were eating themselves. They had no knowledge of food cultivation. They were so crude people. They were eating themselves. So we civilized them with cassava stick. That's why they like cassava tea today. And then we codify their language. They don't even know how to put their language into proper context. We codified that language for them. And then we wrote their first book in Igbo language, and we actually gave them that language. The Yoruba nation, we gave it to them. See, the red cap they wear, yeah, because they don't have kingship. They don't have rulers. And they are in fact, I can say authoritatively that within the Nigerian space, it is only the Igbo nation that has no kingship. Nope, they have. Thief, Junkun, they have. Kanuri, they have. Awusa, they have. Awusa kingships were never emirs or sultan. And these have been appropriated by the Fulani. Awusa kings were called Haba King, H-A-B-A. But they were all killed by the Fulani, and the Fulani imposed themselves on the Awusa people. If you look at the Ijaw kingdom, they've always had kingship. If you look at Efik Ibibio, they've always had kingship, except the Igbo. They've never had kings. It was the English who put them into chiefdom. And they went to Morocco, the English went to Morocco, got them that red cap, and gave it to the people they appointed as their leaders. So they were civilized as recently as 18th centuries, when Yoruba nation has been a civilized nation as far back as the 2nd century before the birth of Jesus Christ. So we have always been, and these people are very crude people. We have no affinity with the Igbo. We're not of the same stock. We're not. Don't let anybody deceive you. The Igbo nation is quite distinct from the Yoruba nation. They are also distinct from the Hausa nation. They are distinct from the Kanuri nation. No, across the world, we hold on to their own might of creation of the world. If you ask the Chinese, they will tell you that God Almighty created Hu and Su. And in the process of disagreement between Hu and Su, there was a huge fight. And that was how the cosmologies that we know today as planet Earth and all the other planets came to be. That is the view of the Buddhists, who are predominantly Chinese. If you ask the Indian, they have their own creation story, which is different from that of the Chinese. You ask the Japanese, who practices Shinto, their own might is different. You ask the Arab, their own is different. You ask the European who are predominantly Christian, they tell you about Adam and Eve. You ask the Yoruba nation about the creation of the world, we will tell you the story of Obatala and Odudua. So we have different versions of how God created. And you cannot dispute any of this because human being nature have different understanding as to how they came to be. Those who are trying to use propaganda, we're going to talk about the enemy propaganda today. Those who are trying to use propaganda and saying that the Igbo originated from Obatala, this is useless. This is Bia Palo analysis. It is unfortunate that some Libra and Pan-Africanists who are Yoruba are trying to use the office of the Oni of Ife to further deceive the young Yoruba so well. But we reject that narration. The Igbo as a name, the spelling of their name has always been IBO, Igbo. But it was after the Civil War in 1970 that they twisted their own name. They changed it. They added G to the name. So they turned it to Igbo. They were looking for familiarity one way or the other. That was when Zik was the one who wanted to steal other people's land. He claimed that the Onitsha people were originally from Benin. This is today Edo State. He wrote a book, Maodesi. In his autobiography, he was trying to trace that in order for the Igbo to appropriate other people's land. And the Oba of Benin then in the 70s responded to him that you were not from Benin Kingdom. And then they have written volumes of how they came from Israel, how they are the lost tribe. And all of a sudden, because of their intention to suppress and subjugate the Yoruba nation, they are trying to claim affinity with us using the office of the Oni of Ife. We quickly put that to rest because the Igbo and Yoruba are not related. And the people behind this, the people who are behind this ideology, saying that the Igbo and Yoruba are related, they consider everybody up north to be from Arabs, everybody down south, including the Middle Belt, from Ile-Ife. That is the nonsense they are trying to preach. But if you look at up north, after the Hausa Fulani land and Kanuri land, you see the Chad Republic, Niger Republic. You go to East Africa, you see Kenya and the rest of them, Tanzania and the rest of them. Where are the Kikuyi coming from? The Kikuyi who have Africans. So are they from Arabs too? The Shona people from Zimbabwe and partly South Africa, are they Arab too? These are indigenous African population. The Zulu people in South Africa. Where are they coming from? So the people who were propagating that ridiculous theory, and there was a guy there, we have identified him, his name is Prince Justice Jayola or something. He hates everything white. They were those behind the propaganda because they are being funded by Igbo. I'm going to talk more about that in the subsequently of this campaign trail. So Igbo are known for propaganda. They have no culture. Believe you me, they have no culture. People who cannot organize themselves into an hierarchical leadership, people who have no sense of democracy, they are not good people. So that red cap they are wearing up and down with their stupid leaders who call themselves Ohanis Indigo, they are criminal anyway. That Nwodo is a foolish man, first class. You know that Nwobose, the retired Colonel Nwobose, you know the video the hyper people brought out, in which the horrible old man in his 80s was still deceiving his own people, saying that they planned a coup to free the Yoruba nation. Yet, when they were in government with the Fulani together, they were killing Yoruba leaders. They were killing Yoruba people and putting Yoruba in prison. They control all our resources when they were in power with the Fulani, yet they could fabricate lies. Everything they do, the Igbo is propaganda. It's a shame on them that till today, they are still wearing that ridiculous red cap. They cannot even fashion out something to distinguish their leadership. That red cap came from Morocco. It was the English who bought it for them and said, yeah, we appoint you the leader. We appoint you the leader, so you wear this red cap. We have a crown. The English wear crown. Saudi Arabia, they wear crown. We in Yoruba, we wear crown. Igbo don't wear crown. because they are uncivilized, crude people who cannot even organize themselves into a proper society. That is why that they are not industrious. That is how their society has no leader. There is nobody who is their political leader in Igbo land. It has been their nature. You do not form relationship with these people. You actually dominate them. If you allow such a people to come into your space unregulated, they will destroy the fabric of your society. That is what the Igbo are doing to our women. They are actually raping our women, essentially to get them pregnant. So according to them, they want to spread their seed across the entire Yoruba nation. So our women will have got to be careful about these Igbo people. That was why they came up with the propaganda calling Yoruba men demos. And they brought in some useless sluts, Yoruba women who sleep around with different men. They brought them on TV, making ridiculous assertions about Yoruba men. All of these are propaganda of the Igbo. When you allow people with no civilization to come into your space, they will destroy that civilization you hold there. Nobody does that. You have to guide your civilization jealously. We cannot allow people who cannot organize themselves into an hierarchical leadership to come into our space. In this day and age, they are still proud to wear that useless red cap. They cannot even create a crown for their own self. If not for the fact that the English brought that cap for them from Morocco. If not for the fact that we civilized them with ordinary cassava stick. If not for the fact that we codify their language. They speak Igbo, but they have no knowledge to codify it. It was Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther that codified it. We cannot allow these uncivilized people to destroy our civilization via their propaganda. Look at what they are now doing about the statement credited to Oni of Ife. They roll with it. And this is all propaganda. The Igbo are not the custodians of Ajay. The real custodian of Ajay are the Ilaje people. And the Ilaje people have always laid claim to the fact that they were the original people that Oduduwa met when he came to Ile-Ife. That has always been their own might. And they said that it was Osani, Osangangan, or what do they call this guy name? Yeah, Osangangan, Obafemi, and Orafe. These are the people who founded the two markets, the first market in the world, Oja Ajay and Oja Ife. Oja Ayegbaju, Orafe, founded Oja Ayegbaju. Oja simply means market. And Osangangan, Obafemi, founded Oja Ife. These people are the custodians of Ajay deity, not Igbo. It has nothing to do with Igbo. It was the Ugbo people, because the king of Ilaje is Oluigbo. Their name is spelled U-G-B-O, Ugbo, not Igbo. They were the people Moremi. Moremi is from Ofa, married to one of the Oni of Ife. Moremi was the one, that woman who helped the Ife people, by extension, the Yoruba people, to defeat the Ugbo people, because he had to give herself up, learn their trade, learn their secret rather, because they were wearing masquerade with all manners of things, and then when they then come to Ile-Ife, the people of Ife will be afraid because they thought that they are Ara. It was Moremi who gave herself up to understand them and found out that they were not actually Araru. It was human beings that were in that masquerade wearing that camouflage. And that was how the Ife people defeated them. The Ugbo people are the custodian of Ajay, nothing to do with Igbo. Igbo are propagandists till Jesus Christ will come. That is why they are being killed everywhere. Look at the emotion they brought to bear about their propaganda as regards Biafra. Everything just died a natural death, because these are people who are not sincere with themselves. They are not sincere with themselves. So I'm going to speak more about their propaganda, but I've limited it to one topic to discuss about their propaganda. If we look at the 1966, what they did, it's all nonsense. They were the people in power with the Fulani, but they wanted to dominate everybody. That was why that war came about. But today, they will tell you that, oh, Fulani were messing up the whole thing. They were the one that were messing up. They control everything. All the schools in Yoruba, they put themselves there because they were in power. They wanted to dominate everybody. And it is so ridiculous. People with no civilization, people with no kinship, people with nothing. When you allow, it's always like that in Yoruba. I want Agutan to baba jari ajegbe. Agutan to baba jari amajegbe because ajaman jegbe. So Yoruba nation cannot allow people with no civilization to move into our space unregulated. They would destroy the fabric of our society. So we have to keep Igbo off our homeland. And they are not going to go. They are not going to go. It is the same thing Japanese did in 1942. That was why America had to use atomic bomb twice. Nagasaki and in Hiroshima. On the Japanese people. The exact thing the Igbo are doing in Yoruba land today, the Japanese were doing it in the 40s in America. They were telling white Americans that they made America great. They were raping white American women. They were discreetly killing white American men. Then President Roosevelt get fed up about this and asked them to leave America. They refused. So he gave an executive order, rounded all of them up. Those who refused to be put in concentration camp. Concentration camp is prison. When you put people in concentration camp, you inject them with injection that is going to kill them gradually. You use them for a medical experiment. When you put them in concentration camp, a number of them do not wish to go there. They were killed. And then the rest of them left America and moved back to Japan. America went to Japan and dropped atomic bomb twice on them in Japan. The same thing the Igbo people are doing to Yoruba nation. That was what the Japanese were doing in the 40s. So American people took the decisive solution to attack them, exterminate a number of them. That is what the Igbo will face. They will not leave. There used to be more Igbo in Kano than there are Igbo in Lagos. But they were killed in Kano. So they ran away and they started trooping to Lagos. They are going to be killed in Lagos too. That is the solution for them because these people are crude. Unfortunately, they have some leaders who are brainless, like Nwobodo, the chairman or the president of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. I dislike that man because he speaks lies. In 2018 February, he was at a meeting organized by Prince Justice. That is the guy that was given Oni of Ife misleading information because his mother is Igbo, his father is Yoruba. So he wanted to bring a false identity by saying that Igbo and Yoruba are one. And he said, we're not, we're going to kill these people. There's no contest about it. So in February 2018, Nwodo, in the presence of Oni, saying that there is Igbo quarters at Ile-Ife. There is none of that. They don't have. But Oni of Ife didn't say anything. And we have said to Oni of Ife, is the Oni of Ife, it's not Oni of Onitsha. It's not Oni of Kano. It's not Oni of Nigeria. He is to protect and safeguard the interests and welfare of the Yoruba people first and foremost. He's the most popular Yoruba person worldwide. He's known all over the world. We cannot afford to have him to speak out of context. That is why young Yoruba are openly castigating him in public, which is not good. Nwodo, the president of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, was lying. Where is Igbo quarters at Ile-Ife? None. These guys are criminally minded. They cannot develop their space. And I've said this, when the English colonized us for 100 years, nothing substantial was produced in Yoruba land except the English used to steal our wealth. For 9 years, we did everything in Africa. We made Africa proud. If you give Yoruba person like Tinubu or Fashola or Shibadu or my humble self to be the premier of Igbo land, less than 10 years, I will make Igbo land great. Igbo people don't have human capital. They have got no brain. A simple policy of free education by Awolowo made people like us to be brilliant, exceptionally precocious. The first free education happened in Africa via Yoruba people. The Igbo couldn't conceive such a brilliant idea. To develop a society, you need to build industrial estate. The Igbo couldn't conceive that idea. Awolowo did. So if I make the leader of the Igbo nation, under 10 years, I will make that space great. There is no Igbo man or woman who can make their homeland great because they lack human capital. Forget about the professor they have. Look at the statement that is coming out from their president of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. They are always terrible people, propagandists. If you give Igbo land, that is a shit hell now, give it to the English. Believe you me, less than 10 years, the English will turn that space around to be the best in Africa. Imagine if white Americans are given the leadership of Igbo land today, they will reshape that space under 5 years. So the problem of the Igbo propagandists are they don't have human capital. You need brain power in order to jumpstart your country, to make your country great. Where there are no brain powers, you cannot do anything. Look at what Awolowo did. This guy wanted to give free education. He called it free education. But there's nothing in this life that is free. Nothing in this life is free. He wanted to give free education to Yoruba people. He was charging every registered companies in Yoruba land 2% education tax. Is that free? That is not free. The companies are paying for that free education that we all received. No, we didn't receive it. Our parents did receive it before, because when we became adults, they've already taken away that free education because of the unity system. So the Igbo are propagandists. The only thing they do is propaganda. It is. And one of their commonest propaganda is that they keep telling you that the English are our problem. The English are the problem of Nigeria. Look, this same English that colonized Yoruba land for 100 years, when they were leaving, they gave us parliamentary system of government based on regional government. The English did not give us unity system. The English did not give us this monthly allocation system. The English did not give us this ridiculous 36 state. The Igbo brought it about. Why must you blame the English? This is the propaganda that the Igbo are dropping, saying that the English are the people that gave Fulani power. No, we have had 11 federal elections from 1959 up to the last one in February 2019. The Igbo voted Fulani 9 times. They voted Ijaw twice, making it the 11th federal election that we have had. Yet they will be saying to you that it is the English that is the problem supporting Fulani. It is the Igbo who are supporting Fulani. So when they use too much propaganda on you young Yoruba who cannot even read ordinary newspaper, you will be carried away by that. The English gave us the best system in a multicultural country, regional government. The English were so smart. They're so intelligent, and they were very fair. They gave us regional government. That is that same system that myself and my group and every Yoruba before us, every Yoruba now, we have always been clamoring for a return to regional government. But the Igbo are refusing it. The Fulani are refusing it. So the Igbo will tell you in propaganda, it is the Fulani that is the problem. Igbo is the #1 problem of Nigeria. Igbo, they are the #1 enemy of the Yoruba nation. If you do not kill your enemy, they would continue to debar your progress. You got to kill your enemy when you identify them. You don't joke. People who have identified to be your enemy, you continue to laugh with them, they will continue to destroy you. That is why it is so convenient for them. Today they claim to be Jew. Tomorrow they are now saying they are Yoruba. Next tomorrow they will tell you they are related to the Kanuri. Horrible people with their red, useless cap they are wearing. It's a shame on them that the English civilized them with that red cap. Horrible red cap they wear. Look at the kind of gobi we hear. Look at our home cap. We conceived that by ourselves. We are civilized people, Yoruba people. Look at our agbada. Look at our ofi. We conceived all of this by ourselves. All the clothing the Igbo are wearing as their traditional clothing, wrapper, this was something foreigners brought to them. They couldn't conceive that from their brain. These guys lack human capital. They lack human capital. So don't fall for their propaganda that the English are the problem. The only involvement of the English in this problem of Nigeria is the fact that when the Fulani had used the Igbo to get into the presidency, the Fulani is so scared of the Yoruba. To suppress and subjugate the Yoruba, the Fulani will go to the English, give them business to control so that the English military will protect the Fulani to subjugate the Yoruba. It is the Igbo who are the problem. The English gave us a very, very good system. So even if you look at from that perspective, you know that the English are justifiable. Let us go back to regional government. The Igbo will say no. Fulani will say no. So if the Igbo are truly industrious, if the Igbo have the woman capital, why are they scared of regional government? Then somebody provided us answer to me yesterday. Because after my lecture yesterday, a very good friend who has become a very good friend now, it's like a confidant. He lives in America. He said, grandson, I don't remember you and I ever having a discussion about my dad. I said, no, you've never discussed about your family to me. He said, my father had diabetes 2, I think. He's got his swollen legs. And then this guy said to me that if not for the fact that he's in America doing shit job, his father will have long died because there's no medical. There's not even money to take care of his father. But because he has been able to escape to America, he said to me, what if I'm not in America? They will have left the father to die. And he said he was crying after my video yesterday because we pay so much taxes, but we have no benefit of this tax. Then he now said to me that in his church, they were discussing. And he confronted the Igbo in his church and said to them that you are the problem. Why is it that you don't want regional government? The Biafra that you are shouting about, you can never have it. Why is it that you don't want regional government? The guy said, but the people in the Middle Belt are different ethnic groups. Why is it that they are grouped together as one region? We also want to have Biafra so that we can be grouped together with South-South because of their access to the ocean. You see, that is the fact. They don't want Nigeria to break. If any Igbo tells you that he wants Nigeria to break, it's a fucking bush lie. They cannot stay on their own. They are the Lesotho of Nigeria. They are landlocked. So because they lack human capital, they lack the ingenuity to develop on their own, they don't want Nigeria to break. They want the unitary system. But if that their space had been Yoruba, believe you me, we will have made that space great. The problem of Nigeria is the Igbo. There's no other. The solution is that we will kill Igbo if they refuse to go back to their space. They don't like it. They don't like to hear that. And that is what is going to happen to you. And I speak the truth. The young Yoruba, we are fed up. We are fed up wasting away in England, wasting away in Germany, wasting away in France, wasting away in Arab country, wasting away in North and South America. We want to come home and we want to make Yoruba land great. Why is it that the Igbo are not thinking like that? If you truly have the brain power. It's about brain. It's not about natural resources. It's about brain. Look at their propaganda about Jibrin. Even Egbonfemi Fani-Kayode, they carry that propaganda in his head. Saying Buhari is dead. I remember him very vividly made a post and said that after the election, they are going to reveal Jibrin. The election is over. They are not revealing anything. They use that as a propaganda to brainwash the stupid Yoruba people in order to vote for them. Look at the way they came up with the propaganda about that they are Yoruba, because they are too scared. They don't want Nigeria to break. They are looking for everything to hold on to Nigeria. Biafra is a fraud. It will never happen because it was not made to be. Look, the Igbo lost the war simply because the Ijaw, the Efiki people did not support their Biafra. If the Ijaw and Efiki people had supported Biafra, they would have fought the Nigerian state from passing through their waterways to get to Igbo land. But they opened their arms and allowed the Nigerian troop Nigerian troop, not really, but the Yoruba troop, who form Marine Commando. They allowed the Yoruba troop to come in and decimated the Igbo because the Igbo attacked our space first. These are our enemies. The Igbo are the enemy. Now, let me quickly pick on one of the numerous propagandas. You know, they use propaganda. You know the latest propaganda they are using? They said that they were the one who voted for Sanwo-Olu. People who came all the way from Kwara and across all Yoruba land to vote in Lagos so that they can vote out the APC. They think that the Yoruba are so stupid. That is their latest propaganda. They said that they are the one who voted Sanwo-Olu. People who openly campaign against Sanwo-Olu, who were rooting for Jimmy Agbadi, because they see Jimmy Agbadi as a weapon to use to subjugate the Yoruba nation. You understand? They think that they can use Jimmy Agbadi to destroy us. They supported Jimmy Agbadi. Now they are using propaganda saying that they are the one who voted for Sanwo-Olu. You can imagine their state of mind. Why is it that they are always using propaganda for the rest of their life? They cannot develop on their own. The only number one people who want Nigeria is the Igbo. The number two people who want Nigeria is the Fulani, not even Hausa, not Kanuri people. You're making a mistake. We Yoruba will civilize the Kanuri people. As at 1959, 1950s, when we were campaigning for election, the people in Kanuri were naked. They were living in mud houses. Awolowo civilized them. He gave them clothing because Awolowo had already established clothing manufacturing companies in Yoruba land. We gave them clothes. Awolowo gave them cement in Kanuri land. The Kanuri people voted for him. Kanuri people fucking kill Fulani. You talk about Othman Danfodio. Kanuri people were fucking killing his soldier. He couldn't get into Kanuri. Othman Danfodio that we talk about, Othman Danfodio nonsense, he was killing the Middle Belts. Othman Danfodio was able to overrun Hausa land using Islam. He was not particularly powerful like people are painting him. He tried to do the same thing in Kanuri land. They killed him. They killed his soldiers. He then went into the Middle Belt. He died there in the Middle Belt. People don't read the declassified information of correspondence between the colonial officer in Ilorin and Lord Lugard. In 1902, 1903, 1905, the records are there. We made it public. Alhaji Inokoju Alalamu of Alalamu family in Ilorin, the Yoruba family, who were ruling as far back as 1902. The guy was deposed because they rejected the English colonial officer coming to Ilorin. They deposed him and dumped him in Jeba, where he died. Then they put a Fulani man as the emir of Ilorin. Fulani never defeated Yoruba over Ilorin. The man that has just been made the governor is from the Afonja family. The man that has just been elected. And the people of Ilorin are demanding for the Yoruba Oba of Ilorin and for the office of Imam Yoruba to be recognized in Ilorin. And these are the promises he made. But when you see the Igbo, they tell you, oh, Fulani have taken over Ilorin from you, Kwara State from you. Fulani did not take anything. So these guys are propagandists. And that's what they do. Nnamdi Kanu is a first-class propagandist. Igbo don't want out of Nigeria. We know it. In YYF, we know it. We're using that fact to use Igbo. We're going to use you, Igbo, in Yoruba land. I'm going to talk about land and property that you always say. Go and check the record. There is no land in Yoruba land that is outright. Everything is leased for 99 years. But we're going to formulate other policy whereby if you are going to buy Igbo, you will not be able to even build property from the scratch. You will build from developers who are Yoruba. And we still have a lot of space. We allow foreigners to own properties. When you own a property, for example, you pay electricity bills, you pay water bills, you will pay land use tax, you will pay all manners of charges. Even if you have to park your car, you are going to pay. So as long as we develop our space, we earn more income to stimulate our economy within the Yoruba land. But all of these things are not possible because we run unitary system. So all of this nonsense, you said, oh, we have all the lands. You don't have it. you don't have this land. You don't have it. So let me speak about one of the propaganda they always use. It is the 20 pounds lies. They talk about the economic alienation of their people after the Civil War. So when they talk about starvation policy, we're still going to speak about that another day. Well, let us look at this 20 pounds policy. And these are people who are not civilized. When you do them favor, they pay you back with evil. That is what they've always been doing to the Yoruba nation. This is the time to kill them. They are so scared. You know, they sent me messages yesterday. Yeah, they're so scared. They don't want to hear the word kill. And that is what is going to happen to you, Igbo, in Yoruba land. It will happen. And it's already happening. I made a broadcast towards the election, and I dare you to come out and vote. Did you come out? You did not. Before the last election we had, you have always produced 3 Igbos representing Yoruba people in Lagos at the Lagos State House of Assembly. You have also maintained Oshodi Solo Constituency 1 and Constituency 2. These are federal constituencies. You, Igbo, you have always produced the candidate of that constituencies, PDP. But at the last election, you lost the 3 Igbos in the Lagos State House of Assembly. There's no Igbo in all of the people that have been elected. Not a single Igbo. Oshodi Solo Constituency 1 and 2, you lost it. That is federal constituencies, 2 representing us at Abuja. You lost it. So we are out for you. We are going to take every market that you control in Yoruba land because you have taken them, you have taken this property from proceeds of crimes. As you come into Yoruba land, armed robbery went up, kidnapping went up, you are the one causing them. So we're going to take all of these things back. You know, the abandoned properties during the war, Hausa Fulani appropriated your properties. The people in South, Port Harcourt in particular, they appropriated your properties. The properties you own in Yoruba land, we give it back to you. Now we're going to take every single properties you own in Yoruba land because they are proceeds of crime. We're going to take them. So let us look at this 20 pounds policy, folks. Let us look at it so that we can defeat their propaganda further. Their propagandists, let me give this information out to you before I go ahead. When you see anything written in social media by Igbo, don't circulate it. Don't circulate it. It is a propaganda. Don't circulate it. This is the time for you to know there are things that you see, how beautiful it may be. If it is coming from an Igbo person or Igbo group, do not circulate it. It is purely propaganda. And then there's something that we want to use this campaign to tell the young Yoruba. To get Oduduwa Republic, to get back our job, to get back our revenue, it is organized violence. That is the number 1. Let me say something to you. This is not a secret anymore. It used to be secret to the liberal Yoruba who are not very informed. During the election of 2015, Adenuga and Arakija, I know the 2 very well, they were threatened by the Hausa Fulani. The Hausa Fulani also threatened the Yoruba Obas and Yoruba leaders that if they do not contribute to Buhari election, they would destroy Yoruba land. Then they had the backing of this ridiculous man called Obama in America. He's Democrat. Democrats don't like Yoruba, by the way. The Fulani had the backing of the Democrat then. So the Yoruba leaders were scared, saying, Fejeki, I'm Fulani Bale Yoruba. But they were foolish, the Yoruba leaders. Fulani control our immigration, they control our custom, they control our port, they control our waterways, they control our prison, they control our police, they control our military, they control all the revenues, they control all the federal government jobs in Yoruba land. If Yoruba land is destroyed, who loses? It is the Fulani. So the secret for the freedom and the emancipation of the Yoruba nation is to destroy Lagos. If we destroy Lagos, Fulani won't control our custom again. If we destroy Lagos, Fulani will not control our immigration again. If we destroy Lagos, Fulani will not control our airport again. If we destroy Lagos, Fulani will not control our waterways again. They won't control our prison again. They won't control our military. They won't control our police if we destroy Lagos. So when Fulani tells you, We are going to destroy Yoruba land. Let them destroy it. They will be the greatest loser. That is the truth. It is what we are going to do. Our concern, our concentration of action is in Lagos. We, Yoruba youth, we are going to destroy Lagos ourselves. Another secret is this. The Igbo make mouth. They tell you they have the weapon. They can fight the Yoruba in Yoruba land. We are going to destroy Lagos. The Igbo said the same thing. Half of these people, criminally minded people, half of Igbo population, they live in Yoruba land. Half. If Yoruba land is destroyed, half of them is destroyed. I said yesterday, is it possible for me to get money as a Yoruba citizen and I want to open water company? I live all my life in Ibadan. So I will now take my money to go and open a water company in Enugu. Is that possible as a Yoruba citizen? My water business is a small-scale industry. It is practically impossible. It is against natural law of nature. I cannot be living in Ibadan and I have 100,000, 200,000 to start water business. Then I will now remove myself with my money and dump myself in Igbo land where I do not speak their language, where I don't know anybody. Then I set up my water business. Is that possible? So the Igbo who are telling you that they are coming, they develop Lagos, they are lying. If they have money to set up the industries or the businesses they own in Lagos, they will have done so in their own country. How can you take your money? There is no sweet shop in Igbo land, and you live in Igbo. You now move your money to start a sweet shop in Yoruba land. Is that possible? That is against natural law of nature. It is where you live that you will make develop. But if I have an international business, it is not one-man business. When you talk about international business, we're talking about multinational business, like Shell, like Mobil, like Barclays Bank, like General Motors, like Boeing. These are multinational business, like Apple, like Microsoft. These are multinational business that they have to site everywhere across the world. One-man business is not multinational. All the mushroom businesses of the Igbo in Yoruba land, they are one-man businesses. If they have the money to set up businesses in Yoruba land, why is it that they are not setting these businesses up in their space? They never had the money. They came to Yoruba land to involve in crime. They used the proceeds of crime to set up their businesses. We're going to take everything away from you, Igbo. Believe you me, it's one simple policy will destroy your life. We want to move you out of Yoruba land. We want to move you out. And you are going to see. You can cry to the world. We have observed you. You shout, 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 shout. Nothing. Your noise is propaganda. Holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu is another savior. From 2015 to 2019, nothing came out of it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Look at our actions from 2012. 3 people founded YYF. 3. 2 left. Only me was maintaining since 2012. Look at what we've been able to do across the Yoruba nation. We're not propagandists. We speak the truth, and it's catching up with the people. The state of mind of the young Yoruba has been so awakened that they are more dangerous than any other human being on the planet Earth. And we are going to revenge for what you have done to us, Igbo. And we want you out of Yoruba land. You will rather go in peace or you go in pieces. That is what will happen to you. Look at the game that the conservative played with the New Zealand killing. Look at what they did. The conservative in America, they knew that Boko Haram has been killing people up north, but they didn't say anything about it. When the news started with the New Zealand who killed some people in the mosque, the conservatives started pushing their own agenda, saying that Boko Haram are killing Christians in the north. I do not believe that anyway. Boko Haram are not killing Christian or Muslim. Boko Haram was essentially made up of Kanuri youths who are killing non-Kanuri people. Now Fulani has taken it over. They are killing non-Fulani people. They are not killing Christians or Muslims. They are killing people who are not of Fulani. That is the people they are killing. But you look at what the conservative in America use. They use it to fight the narration of the New Zealand guy. And after that, do they provide any help? No, it is none of their business. That is how your case will be, Igbo. You will be slaughtered, nothing will happen. Yeah, people can't gain from you. Yes, because you have nothing to show to the world that you have to gain. All you do is propaganda, and everybody knows. Now, the whole world now knows that all the crimes being committed in the name of Nigeria are actually being committed by the Igbo. And you are being hated everywhere in the world. And this will continue for a long time. You don't want regional government, you are going to die. Because nobody wants this unitary system. That is not the system in America, where they are practicing presidential system. It is not the system in Britain, where they are practicing parliamentary system. Nobody subscribes to this unitary system. And folks, let me just give you this information. You know the groups that I spoke about, the group that I belong. You have all the elected senators, governors, and others. They are in that group. Yeah. I fired them this morning again. I gave them that section 162, subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution of Nigeria that talks about public financing. Yeah, I hit them with that. They were giving me thumbs up. I said, join me and watch my video. Understand? Some of them opted out of that group, senators who are only looking for money. They just wanted to give me appointment, want me to have money, start rolling around with different girls, start living large. My nephew, my niece, my siblings, my parents, my extended family, my friend, they will continue to suffer. That is the kind of stupid politicians that we have unfortunately elected. And we are going to set fire on them until they do the right thing. So I gave them that belief that their mind is changing anyway. Their mind is changing because we said to them that we're going to come after you. So folks, let us look at this 20 pounds policy propaganda of the Igbo. You know, we gave them money after the war. See, when the war was looming, it's not as if it is the Igbo plan who planned the war. You know, they were in government with Fulani from 1960. The agreement they had, the Igbo had in 1959, after the election of 1950, there was no clear winner. 3 parties had majority. NCNC, it was a Yoruba party, but Igbo took it over. You know, Igbo have never founded any national party. They always steal other people's party. They have stolen PDP from the Hausa Fulani too. So they stole NCNC from the Yoruba. We founded it. Awolowo was a member of NCNC. In 1949, Zik turned it into Igbo party. So Awolowo left. They founded Egbe Omo Oduduwa. Eyo Ita, the Efik Ibibi guy, he also left. Now, after that, there are some Yoruba who were still there. They were very blind then. They don't know the game. So they still gave more votes to NCNC. So after 1959 election, NCNC had majority, followed by Action Group, Awolowo, followed by Hausa Fulani Party, Northern People's Congress. Yeah, that was it. So instead of Awolowo and NCNC to form coalition government, NCNC bypassed Awolowo and went for the Fulani. Fulani then fooled them and became the prime minister. They gave Zik fucking ridiculous position, governor general, not a powerful position. So Balewa took government. The agreement they had was that after 4 years, Balewa will hand over to Zik. So the 4 years was 1964. But Balewa refused. He didn't hand over to Zik. So Zik and other Igbo, you know, Igbo were more in the military. They planned coup in 1966. Kill all the Yoruba leaders, kill all the Igbo Fulani leaders. They didn't kill their own people. They asked Zik to run away to London. So Zik was pretending as if he had no knowledge of the coup. Every Igbo politicians and military were not killed, were spared. But they killed Yoruba leader and Fulani leader. So that was, they started this war. The Igbo, they started it. So Fulani regrouped, but the Yoruba of that generation, stupid people. They killed their leaders. They folded their hands. They did nothing. Horrible Yoruba generation of that era. They're stupid. But the Fulani generation did not act as stupidly. So they had a secret meeting and planned for the Igbo and killed the Igbo back. You see, that is 1-1. So the Yoruba, they resigned to fate, idiots, people. Instead of them to kill Igbo for killing their own leader, they did not. So Fulani took over power. This first started in January 1966 when the Igbo killed other people. The Fulani retaliated in July 1966. No, don't let me make a mistake. The first action started in January 1966 by the Igbo. July 1966, then the Hausa Fulani revenge. Then the Igbo were killed in the north. No any other place where the Igbo were killed except in the north. And it was not as if that the Fulani like to kill people. They were unhappy that Igbo killed Hamadu Bello, Igbo killed Tafawa Balewa, and other of their leaders. So they revenge. They have legitimate right to do so. If I were to be alive that time, I would have killed, because I wasn't born that time, I would have killed all Igbo people in Yoruba land too. So what the Fulani did was right. That is how you do as a human being. If somebody kills your people, you kill their own people back. So that happens in July 1966. So the Igbo who were left in the north, they ran away. They came back. Do you understand? To the eastern region. So the Igbo who were in the western region, which is Yoruba land, they ran away and came back. That was July 1966. The war didn't start there. So everybody were now negotiating. We were now negotiating. We were now negotiating. We were now negotiating. So we went to our Ghana, Aburi. We negotiated. Nobody was killing everybody. The killing only happened in July, in January 1966, and then in July 1966. After that, we stopped killing ourselves. But we were now negotiating, because this is what happens. When you kill, you have to negotiate. So it's better to negotiate. When negotiation fails, that's when you start killing people. So negotiation has failed in Nigeria. It has been 53 years. The Yoruba have been asking for a return to regional government. So there's no basis for negotiation. Now it's for us to kill Igbo and Fulani in Yoruba. There's no basis whatsoever for them. And that is what is going to happen. Our generation will now slaughter them. We kill them like animals. Nothing will happen in the world, because the world knows that for 53 years, we've been calling for negotiation. It has failed. So that negotiation started after July 1966. The negotiation went on for 1 year, a whole year, 12 months. Not a single gun was fired within that 12 months. Within that, the Igbo were planning for war within that 12 months when the negotiation was going ahead. So the Igbo said, Igbo people who were in the north, bring your money. Igbo people who were in the west, bring your money. Then, whatever we say to you, our wife, is always founded on the truth. Then in 1966, less than 10% of Nigerians have bank accounts. Less than 10% of Nigeria has bank account. Now, let me shock you. Let me shock you. Now, if we are lying, we are researchers. That's what you don't understand. Do you know the percentage of Nigerians that have bank accounts in 2019? Do you know? As of 1966, less than 10% of us, of the population of Nigeria, has bank account. These 10% are predominantly in Yoruba land. There's no fucking banking activities in the north. There's no fucking banking activities in Igbo land. As at 1966, more than 90% of all banking activities in Nigeria were based in Yoruba land, because we're civilized people. Fulani and Igbo, they are crude. They are not civilized. So the 10% that owns bank account as of 1966 were 99.9 in Yoruba land. Nothing much in Igbo land, nothing much in Hausa Fulani. Now, what is the number of the people who own bank account as I speak today? I will tell you. I'll shock you. It's a shocking. When we are doing this research, I consider it a huge business on the part of bankers, because I used to be bankers. A recent data provided by the World Bank says 118 million Nigerians do not have bank accounts in 2019, out of 190 million people. In 2019, according to World Bank, 118 million Nigerians do not have bank accounts out of 190 million. That is 62% of Nigerians do not have bank account in 2019. Is that not disgraceful? You know where these people are? They are in Igbo land and in the north. Majority of us in Yoruba land, we have bank account. 2019, 62% of Nigerians do not have bank account. What we are doing is that we're showing you the propaganda. I'm talking about enemy propaganda, because everything that happens, that comes out of an Igbo mouth, don't believe it, is a fucking propaganda. If an Igbo tells you, I love you, believe you me that he's telling you that I want to kill you. They are propagandists. In 1966, less than 10% of Nigerians own bank account. In 2019, 62% of Nigerians do not have bank accounts. Now the Igbo tells you, oh, they gave us 20 pounds. They took our money in our bank. They have no money in the bank. These guys are deceitful. They had no money in the bank. Now you get that gist. So what happened was this. After that war, some Igbo came up. The war lasted for 30 months, 1967. You know, the first attack happened in January 1966. Igbo attacked Hausa Fulani leaders and Yoruba leaders and killed them. There was a revenge attack in July 1966. After that, no more attack for 1 year. Then we were negotiating. The negotiation failed. Then the Igbo declared war in July 1966. They were the people who declared war. For us, Yoruba, if we're going to declare war in Nigeria now, we will have sent messages secretly to all the Yoruba people that, look, on this day, leave the north. On this day, clear your bank account. On this day, leave the... We will have sent messages across to our people in the north. They will have returned home. The moment they return, we declare war, we started killing non-Yoruba. That is how it is. That was the exact thing the Igbo did. They were the people who declared war. While the negotiation was going on for 12 months, the Igbo sent messages across and said, come back home, come back home. The people who were coming back home, they move all their things movable, including their money in the bank. Mind you, don't forget, in 1966, less than 10% Nigerians have bank accounts in 1966. And the majority of these people are based in Yoruba land, not in Igbo land. So after the end of that war, the Igbo were defeated. Obviously, the Igbo were defeated. Not that the Yoruba were massively sophisticated like that, but we are. But we defeated the Igbo because of the support the Ijaw people gave us and the Efik people gave us. The Igbo were not defeated by Russia. They were not defeated by France. They were not defeated by America. They were not defeated by the English. No, that is another propaganda that the Igbo has said. We Yoruba fucking defeated the Igbo. You know why we got involved in the war? Because the Igbo came to Yoruba land and killed our people. We were neutral. The Igbo killed Ijaw, they killed Efik Ibibio, they killed Urobo, they killed Edo people, they killed the Shekiri people. We won them. These are our people. Stop killing them, especially Edo people and the Shekiri people and Urobo people. We won the Igbo. They did not listen. So they went to war in Yoruba land proper and kill our people. That was how we got involved in the war. And we fucking killed them. Yeah. And we are going to repeat that because they have been killing us since the end of that war in using organized crime. And we are now going to deal precisely with them this time around. So they lost the war because the Yoruba defeated them. Don't let them give you any fucking propaganda. We had a command called Marine Commando because we came through water. That was why it was called Marine Commando. Fulani don't have waterways. So we Yoruba, we have waterways. So we sent people via water. We came in through Ijaw land and Efik Ibibio land. The Ijaw people and Efik Ibibio, they opened their hands and embraced our soldiers. So they work with our soldiers to kill the Igbo and defeat them because the Igbo killed us. That was why. If the Igbo had not killed us and they had been killing the Hausa Fulani, we would be neutral. We would never have gotten involved in that. But the war ended because the Yoruba defeated them. Don't let them tell you propaganda that the entire world gang up against them. It's a lie. No way. It's a bloody lie. We Yoruba defeated the Igbo. Don't let them change the story. They cannot change it. Our Marine Commando, Adekunle, Isama, and the rest of them, including Obasanjo, we defeated them. Or even Obasanjo is an Igbo man, by the way. So, folks, when the war ended, and the Igbo started complaining that, we're broke, oh, there's no money, oh. There's no money, oh. No, this is not good, oh. You know them, they are propagandists. The Fulani who were in government and the Northerners who were in government said to them that, fuck you, it's a war, you lose in war, that is all. Fuck you. Awolowo said, no, you can't say that to them. These people have lost a war. They need to be reintegrated. Awolowo said, let us listen to them. Me, I told you Awolowo is my role model and Winston Churchill. The only thing, there are three people that are my role model. Professor Ajayi. He's a professor emeritus. He studied in Oxford. He was the one who taught me economics. He was the one who edited my first book, Why Nigeria is Poor. I wrote it as an undergraduate. He's late now. He has a son. His son is the Surgeon General of the United States Army. His son is so brilliant. The Yoruba nation lost that man to the United States. There is no war that man has never been to for America. He's the one treating American soldier. Professor Ajayi, before he died, he's always crying to me and say, come on, I raised a child to be useful to Yoruba nation. My child is saving lives in America. That man died a painful man. He's an always to the core. He's my role model. In my estate, we sit outside my estate. Late in the night, we were propounding theories, we're having arguments because both of us study economics, but he did a lot of wonders in me. My second role model is Awolowo because of his brain power. I don't have the brain of Awolowo. You know, he's a very sophisticated man. He's so brilliant, so brilliant. If Yoruba had been a nation, forget it, that man would have changed our life for good, and he did that while he was still alive. My third role model is Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill doesn't believe in non-violence. He believes in organized violence. He rallied around his people to attack Hitler, and they defeated Hitler. These are the people, these are the kind of state of mind that I have. I believe in organized violence. If you violate me, I will not take any nonsense. I will violate you. I took that from Winston Churchill. These are my role models. We will make Igbo pay for the consequences of their stupid action. So Awolowo was very nice to them, but he was very pious man. He doesn't believe in organized violence. That is the only minus in him. Because when you are being treated badly by other people constantly, and you continue to embrace them, they are going to kill you. That was why they destroyed Awolowo, sent him to jail, and wasted his brain. But look, let me tell you, the world will respect you. If you are violated and you revenge, you will be respected by the world. Nobody can threaten America's interests. America will attack you. If you threaten America's interests, they will not smile with you. They will fire you. That is the attitude that the Yoruba nation must now embrace. The Igbo have taken us for granted for so long. They say, Yoruba are Omoluabi. That is why they are doing shit in Yoruba land. Fulani are doing horrible things. I live in London, a well-educated man. I have written 4 books. I'm supposed to have produced my 5th book now, but I'm busy with this campaign. 4 books to my name. With a master's degree in economics, I've worked in oil and gas, I've worked in banking sector, good jobs. I'm wasting away in London. Yet I have a port in Lagos. I have waterways in Lagos, police there. We have police in Yoruba land, military in Yoruba land, prison in Yoruba. I can't work in any of these organizations. Fulani are working those jobs, and I'm wasting away here. Our foolishness as a Yoruba people must stop. We must kill those who want to continue to suppress us. The world will respect you if you kill those who want to undermine you. Try and talk rubbish to America. They will smoke you out and kill you. No negotiation. So those who say that we have to continue to endure this nonsense that is going on, be informed. This generation will kill. We will kill. And that is the only option left for us. For 53 years, you have refused peaceful negotiation. Let us go back to regional government. There's no big deal about that because that was what we subscribed to before 1960. So folks, as I was saying, the Fulani said to the Igbo, you fucking crazy. We cannot do anything. There was a war and people died in the war. Awolowo said, no, let us listen to them. Awolowo formed a committee and said the Igbo who are complaining about their money in the bank should come forward. You know what happened, folks? All the Igbo that were still alive, they came to that committee and said they have bank accounts. Don't mind you, remember 1966, only less than 10% Nigeria had bank account, 1966. This year, 2019, 62% of Nigeria do not have bank account. That is 118 million people. For me, if bankers are watching me, this is a way for you to make money. How can you have 118 million people with no bank account? 118 million people. This is a policy of the government. You have to solve this problem. Where are they keeping their money? This is a huge business opportunity for bankers. According to World Bank, 118 million people in Nigeria do not have bank accounts. 2019, that is 62% of our population. But you know what happened in 1970? All the Igbo came out and said, we have money in the bank. There was no way to prove whether they are lying or not. But I will ask them, list how much you have in the bank. By the time they calculated that money was more than the entire savings of Africa. All the African countries. You know, the Igbo are born criminals. That is their nature. We can do something. It's none of our business. They can continue to commit crime, but not in our space. We are not willing to civilize them. But when they commit crime in our space, we kill them. That is the option. We are not willing to civilize them. We just want to reduce their number in our space. So Awolowo was very shocked and said, look, how can all of you claim to have money in the bank when the record before the war shows that less than 10% of Nigeria had bank account? All of you Igbo are now claiming you have money in the bank, and all of your money is more than the entire savings of all the African countries. Where is that money initially? Awolowo queried them. So Awolowo went to the council meeting, federal council meeting, and he raised this issue. The Fulani said, forget about them, they're liars. Forget it. Awolowo said, no. There are some of them with legitimate claim to have money in the bank. We must do something. And they asked Awolowo, what are you going to do? Awolowo said, I'm going to give all of them 20 pounds to start life again. 20 pounds then will have been more than 5,000 now, because inflation has been so shit in Nigeria. Awolowo said, I'm going to give them 20 pounds. Look, if you were in Awolowo's shoe, what would you have done? As at 1966, before the war, less than 10% Nigeria have bank accounts. And these are predominantly in Yoruba land. But after the war, all the Igbo claim to have bank accounts. So how do you then pay them all the money that is more than the entire African savings? You will be ridiculous. If you were in Awolowo's shoe, what would you do? If I were to be in Awolowo's shoe, I would not even give them 20 pounds. I won't give them 20 pounds. I will just give them, borrow them money, the government of their country, of their region, give them soft loan to revive their region. Then they pay it back. That is what I would have done. Awolowo was a very pious man. He gave all of them 20 pounds. All the calculation of that 20 pounds was more than the savings of the Western region. All the 20 pounds given to each Igbo was more than the saving of the Yoruba people. So our money was given to these criminals. Today, they cannot even appreciate Awolowo. They hate that man till death. You know, do you think Igbo hate me? They fear me like hell. Igbo people. You know, I'm not Awolowo. I want to fucking kill them. Awolowo wasn't willing to kill. He was a pious man, a peaceful man. I am not pious. I believe in that philosophy because I've read Winston Churchill's book. If you violate me, I will violate you. That is my policy. It is tit for tat. That is the policy. That is international policy of the United States of America. If you violate an American citizen or American interest, they will come for you. They will come for you. That is how it is. If the Igbo knows that Yoruba don't come after when they have done something, that's why they do evil. They are so scared of the name Adeyinka Grandson. I have watched more than 20 videos about me from different Igbo. They are scared of that name. They cannot sleep with my name. That is how it should be. Our generation must move a step further from what our previous generations have done. So you see, Awolowo helped these people. He gave them 20 pounds. The entire money given to the Igbo was more than the entire savings of the Yoruba nation. But they filter it away. Rather than for them to use it to jumpstart the economic growth and development of their space, they had no human capital. So this was wasted. The leadership of their space were useless. After the war, the Igbo who had properties in Hausa Fulani North, Kanuri North, and Middle Belt, they lost those properties. They lost. The people seized their property. The Igbo who had properties in Port Harcourt, in particular, Port Harcourt is now in South today. The Igbo who had properties there were denied their properties. But this horrible, criminally minded Igbo, their properties in Yoruba land were given back to them. Today, the Igbo cannot dare to talk rubbish to Fulani who seized their properties. Today, the Igbo cannot go to Port Harcourt and say that Port Harcourt is no man's land. The Ijaw people who are there, particularly the Yoruba, will slaughter the Igbo. But this same day, the Yoruba who return their properties to them, this criminally minded Igbo, they will never support our political interests and they are killing our people with their crimes. You know why they are doing that? Because you don't kill them. If we kill Igbo in Yoruba land, when they hear Yoru, before Ruba, they will be pissing on themselves when we slaughter them. That is the message they are telling us. People who seize their properties, Igbo respect them till today. Igbo armed robbers don't go to the north and operate. They know that if they are apprehended, Fulani will slaughter them. Straight, no judgment. The fact that they are Igbo with guns, wow, Fulani will kill them. But they will not dare to go there. If they try shit in just Port Harcourt, we're not even talking about Bayelsa. We're not even talking about Efikidibio. In Port Harcourt, they cannot call Port Harcourt no man's land. Ijaw people will slaughter them. But they can come to Lagos and say no man's land because they consider you to be foolish. They abandon properties, you return it back to them. After the war, I will all give each of them 20 pounds. So they consider Yoruba to be weak-minded. Today, they hear the name grandson. And we are going to kill you, Igbo. This generation, all the favor that we have done for you, you have abused it, and this generation will kill you. You've been talking. Oh, Metropolitan Police will arrest you. Oh, you are going to be deported. What have you done? I've been doing the same thing since 2012, but I took my time because my target are the young Yoruba. Their mind is my target. All this propaganda that the Igbo are doing is too much. It is too much. The rate at which they are churning out propaganda is massive. They are destroying the minds of the Yoruba. But when you see Yoruba, that's why I don't see any problem about it. They have that problem. So you see, something that I've learned throughout my course of research is that anyone that does favor to the Igbo, they do not appreciate it. But if you kill them, if you make life difficult for them, they will serve you. So that is what I want the young Yoruba to adopt. Everywhere in Yoruba land, we must not give Igbo jobs. We must not give Igbo rights to rent. We must make life difficult for them. Look at the last election. You and I will now be talking about President-elect Fayose. If the Igbo had brought out Fayose, Fayose wanted to contest for the presidential ticket of that party. Look at what Fayose did. He supported Nnamdi Kanu. He supported IPOB. He was calling for their rights. When Hausa Fulani Youth in 2017 issued a notice to the Igbo in the north to quit, they ran to Afenifere. It was Afenifere that was speaking up and said that the Fulani cannot do anything to them. But when the election came, they did not make a Yoruba the PDP presidential candidate. They made another Fulani Atiku the presidential candidate. If you help the Igbo, they will suppress you. If you do favor to them, they would return it back with evil. We must deal precisely with evil in Yoruba, and we must kill them. They don't like to hear that word, kill. They are so scared. Go to Interpol, Igbo. You have gone to the Metropolitan Police. You said, I'm going to be deported. You have a right to say that. My father, look at my skin. Does it look white to you? Idiots. My skin is black. I'm first and last a Yoruba citizen. If one of my parents had been English, you cannot say that the English will deport me. So what I'm saying to you is this: in Yoruba land, we will deal with you. The game is hot. We are fed up. You are the one who have always been putting Fulani in power. For one thing, you know that Fulani don't like regional government. So you, Igbo, you like regional government. So you are looking for a people that will maintain that. That's why you vote them in. So how do we get what we want? To destroy you, Igbo, in Yoruba, and that is what we are going to get. So look, you see that propaganda of 20 pounds? They will open their stupid mouth and tell you, oh, now, you seize our money in the bank. You can't give us 20 pounds. You can't give us 20 pounds. They don't even have 20 pounds in bank account to start with. They don't have it. The records are always there. Facts are there. They don't have it. So this is a personal conclusion for me. When you help the Igbo, they will destroy you. If you kill them, they will serve you. I think the English knows this a long time. Fulani knows this. Even the Ijaw people, they know. I dare the Igbo. You have been calling Lagos no man's land. Start saying the same thing. Saying Port Harcourt is no man's land. They will kill you there. Say it today. They will start killing you today. Not tomorrow. They won't wait. But folks, they will not. People who seize their properties. If they utter such a word saying Port Harcourt is no man's land, you will not even see it in the news. Those Ijaw boys, they will kill them and put them inside the river. They cannot say Kano is no man's land. People who seize their property, people who are willing to kill them under the slightest provocation. But why is it that they do shit to you in Yoruba? Their armed robber come to Yoruba to kill you. Their kidnapper come to Yoruba land to take you hostage. They sell fake drug in Yoruba. Do they sell fake drug in the north? Fake drug is killing you on an industrial scale. They don't even sell fake drug in South, but they do that in Yoruba land because they see you as weak-minded because you don't kill them. By the time you fucking slaughter them on an industrial scale, not more killing, you kill them, they will respect you. And that is what you are going to get, Igbo. You will be slaughtered. That is it. If you don't want to be slaughtered, we challenge you, all Igbo youth across the world, go back to Igbo land and make it great. President Trump said we should go back to our respective nation and make it great. I support that statement. We, the young Yoruba across the world, we have acquired knowledge. We want to come down to Yoruba land, not to Nigeria, to Yoruba land, and use our brain power to make Yoruba land great. So we challenge you, Igbo, all across the world. Use that, your energy, your time and money, use it to make Igbo land great. The Hausa Fulani youths do the same thing. And this is how Nigeria can be great. But if you think that you can claim the same right as Yoruba in Yoruba land, you think that you can continue to do all manners of crimes in Yoruba land, you think you can continue with your propaganda against the Yoruba nation, we will kill you, Igbo. We will massacre you. You're talking about Rwanda. Their president today, Paul Kagame, he was a rebel leader, killing people. After the war, what happened? What moved on next? Negotiation. Do you understand what we're saying? So the solution is there. You understand? That is what for today. The propaganda about the 20 pounds saying that it is nothing other than propaganda. We use that policy to help these people. They turn around to abuse us with it. One thing I want young Yoruba to pick away from here: if you do any favor to the Igbo, they will destroy you. So in Yoruba land, don't rent your houses to them. Don't give them breathing space. They are immigrants. So as Yoruba citizens, if you go to Igbo land, you are immigrants. I am an immigrant in England. I do not have the same right and privileges as an English. But when I come back to Yoruba land, I will become first-class citizen. Igbo have not the same right and privileges as Yoruba in Yoruba land. You Yoruba, you have right and privileges over Igbo or any other non-Yoruba in Yoruba land. So in our banks, Yoruba must be given job first and foremost. In all businesses, all employment in Yoruba land, Yoruba must be given job first and foremost before any other people. The Igbo have not equal rights and privileges as Yoruba people. And I want you to note that. So there's so much propaganda of the Igbo outside. You have to be guided. Anything that is being circulated on WhatsApp, in social media, or in any news platform from the Igbo, do not circulate it. They are using them as propaganda. People don't know that blog is different from newspaper. There's a lot of Igbo blog across the world. They are churning out propaganda. When you read articles that are not from mainstream newspaper in Yoruba land, do not circulate them. They are blogs. Somebody has written them in their bedroom as fabrication, propaganda, to push a particular narration. Look at how the Igbo are pushing the gold in Zamfara. Shebi, they claim they have oil. Why are they not agreeing that we go back to regional government if truly they have oil? But they don't have oil. But this is the propaganda they have been pushing across, that they have oil. People used to send me a WhatsApp message credited to Aniko Bridge, saying that Igbo are contributing 32% of the oil in Nigeria. Igbo don't have crude oil. If they do, they will support regional government. They don't. They use propaganda. They tell you they develop Yoruba land. It's a lie. They did not develop anywhere. They are into crimes. So in addition to this, to just round it off for today, I've got this information from the Concerned Isheshe youth. These are young Yoruba who are Orisha adherents, who are practicing. And there's a campaign they are doing about issue. And they said this to me, and I'm going to say it to you, which I agree to with them. They said that Joseph, when the Bible was interpreted, the English Bible was converted to Yoruba, there was one major error made by Bishop Ajayi Crowther. He changed Satan to Eshu. That is not. But when he was writing that, he said Joseph. He turned Joseph to Josephu in Yoruba. Mary to Maria. Jesus to Jesu. David to Dafidi. Angels to Angeli. Satan should have been turned or changed to Satani, not Eshu. Eshu is an Orisha. It's an intermediary between God Almighty and man. Eshu is not evil. Eshu is not devil. So it is a huge mistake on the part of Bishop Ajayi Crowther. He has done so many credible work before, but that was a minor, and it's a major minor on his part. If he can interpret Joseph to mean Josephu, Mary to Maria, Jesus to Jesu, David to Dafidi, angels to Angeli, he should have turned Satan into Satani, not Eshu. Eshu is not Satan. Eshu is not Satan. Eshu is not devil. Eshu is not evil. Eshu is one of the Yoruba Orisha. As a matter of fact, it's one of the topmost Yoruba Orisha. So to our Christians Yoruba and Muslims Yoruba, please, we have to correct some of the mistake of our past generation. Satan is now Satanic. Satan is now satanic, and Satan cannot be Eshu. If Joseph is Joseph, Mary is Maria, Jesus is Jesus, David is Daphidi, angels are angeli, Satan is satanic, not Eshu. So please take note of that, please. Please do take note of that. And another thing that we want to say, we want to remind young Yoruba, we must deal with this trouble of SARS and EFCC. SARS are killing us deliberately. In June 2018, 131 Yoruba youth were killed in 1 month, 2018. Not a single soul was killed by SARS in the entire North. So, young Yoruba, if you want to go out and protest, that means you are stupid. We must get weapons to kill back the SARS officials. If we start killing them, they are going to change them and bring Yoruba to Yoruba land. We don't want the unitary police, no. We want a return to regional government so that we can have Yoruba police service and we can have our own men in Yoruba services who will speak our language. We don't want Igbo and Hausa Fulani and not Yoruba to police Yoruba land. So young Yoruba, this is the time for you to kill SARS members. Just look for them. Just kill them. They have been killing us for years. They killed my brother more than 13 years ago. Yes, this same SARS that we're talking about. They shot and killed him and said he's armed robber. They killed our youth and said they are Yahoo, they are criminals. So this is the time for us to keep them back. Don't go to the street and say hand SARS. What we need is a return to regional government so that we Yoruba can control our police. If we put someone as powerful as Are Ona Kakanfo in charge of our security in Yoruba land, and police are killing Yoruba people, don't you know that we are going to replace Are Ona Kakanfo? It will pay. Who is going to pay now for all the nonsense killing that is going on? Who is going to pay for all the people that the SARS has been killing? My brother has children before he died. They are my responsibility. And I failed woefully because his daughter, very precocious, he got into university at the age of 16. But I don't like that university. I could have put him in a very better university, but I don't have the money. But if my brother was to be alive now, he will put his daughter in one of the best universities. I failed that child because of the nonsense unitary system. That child should be able to go to the top university in Yoruba because she's very precocious. They have killed our father for more than 13 years. This same SARS. So it is not sufficient for you to be carrying placard. We must start killing SARS back. They are Fulani and Igbo. We want a return to regional government. Why is it that Fulani and Igbo must struggle desperately to want to work in our police in Yoruba? We are not working in their police in the north. We are not working in their police in the east. But they are working in our police in Yoruba and killing our youth. So young Yoruba, this is the time for you to get weapon. Look, let me tell you something. If you get a gun, like machine gun, you go to this police station and fucking spray them. You can disappear. Nobody will find you. If we don't show them like that, they are not going to change. Let me tell you, that is the secret. In life, when somebody undermines your greatness and you fold your hand, they will kill you. But when somebody does evil towards you and you give them back their own evil in equal measure, they will think twice before they do evil against you. So we must go to police station with machine gun, Yoruba youth. Don't go to the city. You spray them. By the time you kill like 10 SARS, they will stop that SARS. The same thing we must do to EFCC in Yoruba land. EFCC, Hausa Fulani official, we must start killing them in Yoruba land. They brought them from their own space when our people don't have jobs. So they put them in EFCC. They are now randomly arresting young Yoruba and labeling them Yahoo Yahoo. Anybody that is doing any here, they will arrest him and say that he's a criminal. They won't stop. For 53 years, 53, we've been asking for a return to regional government. Did they give you? No, because you just talk in your mouth. They will just sit down and laugh at you. Say, no, they can only talk. But if you target some EFCC official, Fulani, not Yoruba, you know that these people are foreigners, EFCC, wearing their EFCC, you just kill them. By the time you kill 10, they will send them back to their own space and bring Yoruba EFCC official. You understand? We need our own people to police our own community. The only way you can get this thing is through organized violence. You cannot carry placard, they will not do anything. Let me just tell you something. If you have petrol in this bottle now, petrol, you just target one police station, firebomb the police station and they escape. Nobody will see you. You just go and relax in your house. You'll be laughing, watching it on TV. You understand? They will be shouting. You go to another police station with your petrol bomb, or if you have bomb, you just throw bomb there. Come on, disappear with your friend. Nobody will see you. By the time you do 3 police stations, and then statement is being issued across the internet and said that we will continue to attack you in Yoruba until you leave. Look, all the Hausa Fulani police, they will take them away. You are going to get regional government. If you don't use force, Fulani will be laughing at you. You understand? They will be laughing at you. So don't take it gently with them. Don't take it gently with them at all. It must be bloody. So EFCC official and SAS official in Yoruba, let us start killing them. Let us start killing them. There's nothing they can do to me. There's nothing. Because we're speaking the truth. They have been killing me. They killed my own brother too. I have never seen a brain in my life before, except once. I saw my brother's brain out. Fucking splash all over the place. Fucking killing. 3 people, 3 police officers were there. Over ordinary 20 naira. 20 naira. Fulani police officer, 2, 1 Igbo. They were laughing. Say, yeah, it's an armed robber. It was that is what they were saying. They say it was a gun shootout between armed robber and the police. Where did my brother get gun? You know, they can plant any evidence against you. And they were doing it in confidence when a life has been lost, a family in mourning, a man with children. They just cut short his life. Just like that. 13 years ago, 2019, they are still killing us. This same SARS. Now they brought EFCC doing shit to you. We must target these SARS people. Look, let me tell you, if you don't have gun, if a man has a gun, he will control 1 million people with just one gun. If we can go to police stations in Yoruba, just set bomb there. If we can go to EFCC office in Yoruba, just blow them up. They will know that what they are doing is final. But if you don't do anything, they will fucking continue to mess you up. Because they have not killed you, it doesn't mean that it's not going to get to you. This is the time for us to stop. That is the solution. We young Yoruba, we must kill SARS people in Yoruba land. We must kill EFCC official with gun and bomb. It is very easy for you to get gun. If you kill them, you are doing the Yoruba land favor. Because if you don't kill them, they will not remove these criminals from our space. Hausa Fulani will come from Kano, Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina. They are police officer in Yoruba. Igbo will come from their space, police officer in Yoruba. They bring these people up, EFCC, killing Yoruba youth, and you want to be carrying placard. It will come to you, they will kill you too. If you kill them, you are doing the Yoruba nation favor. We must kill EFCC officials and SAS officials in Yoruba. We must kill them. That is the only language that you understand. If they try this nonsense with white people will kill. Particularly white Americans. They will kill. Now let me quickly round up and tell you about there's a growing cancer in Yoruba. You don't know. Yeah, there's a growing cancer. But what exactly is causing it? There's a new research that I've just read. E-waste is responsible for the high rate of cancer that you now have in Yoruba land. Who is responsible for the growing cancer in Yoruba land? Fucking Igbo. Igbo are destroying your life. You know what is e-waste? Disused television, computer, phones. Igbo will go to China. All the fucking useless computer they dump in China, they will pack it into a container and dump it in Lagos. The television tube is cancerous. So you go to dumping ground, you see TV, OTV, you see computer, junk, you see phone. That tube of that television is causing cancer. So majority of them, they will be destroyed in the open, and you then inhale this thing. It is poisonous. It is poisonous. This is cancerous. That is why cancer is growing across Yoruba land, because the Igbo are bringing used disused electronics and dumping it in Yoruba land. And another research they've done, these disused electronics are so huge. Now, they have now contaminated all our bowls, particularly in Lagos. Our bowl, the water that is now coming out from our bowl is poisonous. So cancer is growing as a result of the activities of the Igbos. They are going all over the world to buy junk second-hand electronics and dumping them in Lagos because we practice unitary system. So what do you have in return? Zoo, cancer. Look at Lagos International Airport. Over 25,000 aircraft, commercial aircraft, travels through that port every year. 25,000. They are emitting CO2 emission, which is killing people across Ikeja and its environment. They are having lung problem. The money generated from Lagos International Airport is building hospital in Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna, building school there, building hospitals in Igbo land. Nothing to gain for the Yoruba nation. People who live around Ikeja and its environs are having lungs problem because of the CO2 emission of the 25,000 planes. You know the number of vehicles in Yoruba land? 75% of vehicles in Nigeria are in Yoruba land. Lagos alone has 35%. The entire north is about 29% of all the cars. 35 in Lagos alone. That gas they emitted from their vehicles is killing people in Lagos, causing lung problem. But we pay petroleum profit tax, which is passed on to vehicle owners. So Yoruba is paying 65% of the petroleum profit tax. It's not 75% vehicles that we have in Yoruba, it's actually 65%. I've been corrected. 65% Yoruba land, we are paying 65% of petroleum profit tax. The vehicles in Yoruba land are emitting CO2, killing our people. But every time the petroleum profit tax goes to Abuja, it is building hospital for them in the north, making Igbo land great. Yoruba, all your money has been taken. No hospitals to take care of your lungs. So you die. You see, unity system is destroying us. The only solution is organized violence. If we do not kill, these people who are taking our wealth will not stop. By the time they see killing, they see destruction, they will do the right thing. So we must shut down Lagos. We must do one thing, and that is what we're doing now. When you have a problem, you must identify your problem. Our problem in Yoruba land is the Igbo. They are our number one enemy. They were the one who destroyed regional government. They are moving into our space unregulated. As a result of that, crime is on the high in Yoruba land. Yet, Yoruba have been struggling. We have never been president of Nigeria since 1960. The highest we have had is Shonekan for 3 months. Obasanjo is not a Yoruba man. So the Igbo who destroy regional government, who are coming into our space unregulated, who are causing all manners of crime, when election is coming, they will go and thumbprint for Fulani. Fulani continue to rule us. Because Fulani are ruling us, we cannot get regional government. We cannot control our port. We cannot control our police. We cannot control our military. We cannot control our waterways. We cannot control our prison because Fulani are in power. Igbo put them in power. So what do? We kill Igbo in Yoruba land. When we started killing them, they will be running away. So they will be scared when election is coming. They will be scared, say, if we don't vote for Yoruba, they are going to kill us. Then they will vote for us. We must kill them. Since 1960, no record of Igbo voting for Yoruba. There's no one single record of Igbo. Obasanjo is not a Yoruba man, it's an Igbo man. So you see, you identify your problem. Igbo nation is our number one problem. And how do we deal with that? We regulate their movement into our space. Because they are not going to go peacefully. We start killing them. When we start killing them, they will leave our space. Because we want to make Yoruba land great. We cannot make Yoruba land great under this unity system. So folks, that will be all for today. And you need to get this thing. I will be coming live. If you don't see me between 1 and 3, then you are going to see me between 5 and 7. Because I have to do this within my work hours. And so sometimes I could be in the afternoon, sometimes I could be live in the evening. So that is how it's going to be. But do not forget, One way of us getting Oduduwa Republic is via organized violence. And second way is for us to play politics. So if you are Libra, like you, those of you who are Libra, majority of you are Libra Yoruba, go and register with PDP. Start from the ward, contest for election under your Libra sheet party called the PDP. Go there and register with them. You can't start a new political party. It doesn't make sense. Go and contest as ward councillor and the local government chairman. Those of us who are conservative, we are going to enlist, we are going to register with APC. So all the young Yoruba who are conservative, go and register with the APC Yoruba and contest election from the ward as well as local government chairman. So if we can take over our wards, we are gradually dealing with the situation. While we play politics, we adopt organized violence too, and we must kill those who want to continue to kill us. Igbo don't want us to grow. Igbo want to continue to come into our space and kill our people as armed robbers, as kidnappers, involved in vandalism, prostitution, human trafficking, child trafficking. They are selling the fake drug that is killing you in Yoruba land. It's more than armed robbery. And we must end this thing. We cannot end them if we don't deal with Igbo. We must kill Igbo in Yoruba land. That is it, because they have refused to leave. And they have refused to support our political interests. So we must kill them. We have been saying for long, leave our space. Leave our space. Go back to your space. They refuse. They refuse. How can somebody be living in my house and you will not respect me? Election will be coming, you will be voting for Fulani. Yoruba too want to be president. If you have a proper Yoruba, we are not talking about a useless Yoruba like Tunde Bakare who call himself a pastor. He's a first-class, horrible man. He condemns Yoruba nation because his father is Sani Arewa from Sokoto. He's a Fulani man. Tunde Bakare is not Yoruba, so don't let anybody bullshit you. If you have somebody like Tinubu as president, if you have somebody like Oshibadu, if you have somebody like Fashola, you think that they will close their eyes. Why Fulani are controlling our military in Yoruba land? Why Fulani are controlling our police in Yoruba land? Fulani are controlling our custom in Yoruba land. Fulani are controlling our immigration in Yoruba land. Fulani are in charge of our port and waterways in Yoruba land. You think Tinubu will close his eyes. But if you put Bakari as president, he's half Yoruba, half Fulani. He will serve the interest of the Fulani because his father is Fulani. That was the exact thing Obasanjo did when you put him there. His father was Igbo. That was why he was against the interest of the Yoruba nation. So we want the Yoruba to be president of Nigeria so that we can change the course of history. But the Igbo are always voting Fulani, so we're going to kill them in our space. We cannot kill Igbo in Igbo land. It is their space. They can shout in our space. We will deal with them. We must take back our market from them. We must make sure that we do not rent houses for them. We must frustrate them. They have been frustrating us since 1959. This is the time for us to end their stupidity. So folks, I thank you. I have said to my team that I will not remind you to make donation. I will not. It is becoming excruciating for me to always say this at the end. But they constantly said to me that I have to say this. We cannot carry out our public course of action without your support. You should appreciate the fact that we have passion for what we are doing. We want to change the course of history. You have a role to play too. If you make donation, we can get things done. Without your donation, the last time the police called me, when the Igbo reported me, I would not have the confidence of going to a lawyer paid for by myself without your donation. So if I have to take that money from my pocket, don't you think that my family will say to me, oh, you're doing rubbish? This is what my wife tells me almost every time. Yeah, you're fighting for Yoruba that will not help you when you have a problem. But let this thing change. Make donation. You cannot do the research you were doing. You cannot show your face. You cannot come out in public. You cannot articulate policy. You cannot do so many things. Like, I'm not Are Ona Kakanfo. If any war is going to happen now, it will be the responsibility of the office of Are Ona Kakanfo. But we need to change the mind of young Yoruba, and that is what we're doing. We need to do organized violence. We need to take something out. So you can make donation, but actually we need a sponsor. We need sponsors. So if you make donation, all of this ridiculous, in the next 60 days now, you know how many reports that the police, the Igbo are going to report me to the police? I will confidently go to the police with my lawyers. if I have your backing. But if I have to use my time, my energy, my wealth, somebody's going to get tired, folks. Let's just be realistic. So you cannot say you want things to change without making any effort. It doesn't go well. Think about your parents, those of us who still have parents. Think about your children. Think about your grandchildren. Are we going to live a life like this for the rest of our life? Yoruba nation, we are only 60 million within Nigeria, excluding those in Benin Republic, excluding those in Togo, excluding those who are in the diaspora. But those of us within Nigeria, we are only 60 million. Are you saying that the Yoruba nation, we cannot have a leader like Awolowo who will conceive idea of making life easy for these 60 million? Indians are 1.33 billion. The Chinese are 1.38 billion. We are only 60 million. We have enough wealth to make us happy in Yoruba land without any of our best brain living abroad. So this is what we want to change. And this is why we're calling for your support. Without your support, we won't get anything done. If during the course of this campaign that we've started, keep Igbo off Yoruba land, you know the Igbo will try to shut us down. If you liking what we're doing here is saving us the energy to argue about the irresponsible Igbo. Imagine them going to the police every now and then reporting me. Some of them put a phone call to the police saying that I threatened their life. The police thought it was real. They came for me, threatening me. So if I don't have, because I don't like to use government lawyer, because government lawyer work with the police, which is going to be against my interest. But because of your little donation, I conveniently walked down to my solicitor, pay him straight away. He was shocked because before it would take me time to pay. But I was able to pay immediately because of your donation. And I didn't think about that. I continued to do my campaign because my lawyers are already working. Imagine if you do nothing, if they just report me and I will go and represent myself in front of the police, you know how they're going to be harassing me because of my ethnicity and my race. See, there's a lot that we can do. No one person will carry every responsibility. Don't look at me as savior. I'm not. I'm just an ordinary Yoruba who is fed up with the unitary system. So please make donation. The links are there. Give us something. You are helping one way or the other. I appreciate the effort that we put into this. It isn't easy. So thank you so much, guys. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Cheers. Thank you, Madam Ola, for joining us. Thank you, Harry, and thank you, Ari Babatunde. I'll see you guys tomorrow.